Kanye, who you've had a lot of experience with,
Okay.
is, I guess, doing music again. He's apparently married.
Yeah, Bianca Censori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone on Twitter said that Kanye married Pete Davidson with titties. And I just can't get that out of my head ever since I saw it. The question is, well, look, Adidas has announced that they're basically selling off their back stock in the Yeezys. You know, people are like, oh, they're back in business again. They're not back in business again. They're just selling off their old stock, and they're donating money to, I guess, the Anti-Defamation League and to George Floyd's foundation. So the question is, you know, for example, like I interviewed academics. He said Kanye's one of these guys that can keep fumbling the bag, but he still will get another job. You know what I'm saying?
If it's anyone who could still have a finding or coming back to grace moment, like Kanye just always seems to survive. I always say, like, when it comes to, like, say, a Kanye, or even, I even said about Dave Chappelle to a certain extent, people can't follow those guys. Those guys are unicorns, and a lot of times their bad behavior, actually, if it's not ignored, sometimes it's rewarded. You get what I mean? If it's anybody else, you're done. It's over. So that's why those guys they're not of the mold.
Do you think that Kanye could get back into the level that he was at again?
Level? What's your level? What's the level?
#1 albums, #1 selling sneakers, you know, doing big tours.
Kanye drops next week, it's going to #1. If Kanye drops next week, is going to #1. Like, so there's a part of Kanye now that is probably, that he's never going to return to. I mean, Kanye really, I mean, like, it's so weird that I'm saying Kanye really went when he disrespected my ancestors. But
you have a Harriet Tubman.
I have a Harriet Tubman pendant on right now. So there is a version of Kanye that is gone forever in terms of that. I think that enough people still love Kanye that if Kanye dropped next week, he'd go to #1. He'd go to #1. I also think this.
Well, okay. But before you say that, though, see, I think there's a difference between going to #1 because of people's curiosity in terms of what he's going to say and what he's going to address. So, for example, Gunna's album went, you know, fairly high in the charts because I think everyone was checking to see what he's going to say about Young Thug, about his own case, everything else like that. Just like Tekashi's music went, you know, got a bunch of views initially because people wanted to see whether he's going to address the snitching thing and whatever else. There's a difference between going #1 1 week because everyone's just tuning in to see the shock value of it, to having hit songs that continue to get played and embraced and, you know, I mean, marketed and so forth. So let me just say that.
So I think that eventually Adidas and Kanye will work together again.
You think so?
Yeah. Because I don't believe in the continued altruism or moral compass of any corporation. Adidas right now is they're struggling for a lot of reasons that aren't Kanye related. Supply side issues that come from the war in Ukraine and come from stuff in China. There are a lot of reasons why. But they would be doing markedly better, shall I say, if they had Kanye right now. This is what happens with Kanye. And it'll be interesting to see if it happens this time. Kanye goes on a prolonged mental bender, whatever you want to call it. He goes on a prolonged rant over a course of a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And everyone goes, I've had enough. Everybody goes, I've had enough. Then things settle. And incrementally things normalize. Incrementally things normalize. Like, he just comes back around and you see that it's not a big deal to other people. Like, Kanye had a birthday party out here in Los Angeles. And some of the people that went to the party, I was like, wow. I wouldn't think that person would go to a Kanye West party after Kanye West said that he likes Hitler. You know, I wouldn't think that I would see that person at the party. but it seems that we only dislike Kanye when we're talking about him. When we're talking about him, he's reminding us like who he is now. But when he is not talking, we still think of him as the old Kanye. We still think of him as the sort of off-kilter genius who inspired us so much. It seems like sometimes we don't have the ability to remember every single thing that Kanye has done and how they progressively get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, when he goes away and he comes back, like he comes back wearing weird clothes. Now the clothes are the topic of discussion, not the Hitler stuff. The wife is the topic of discussion, not the Hitler stuff. Like all of that stuff is a topic of discussion. We're not, like if you bring up Mel Gibson right now, someone will still talk about what Mel Gibson said about Jewish people, what he said about black people. If you bring up Bill Cosby right now, someone will still talk about Bill Cosby and his issues. All of these people, if you bring up Chris Brown right now, someone will still talk about all that. You can have a conversation about Kanye and some of that stuff will never come up. So my thing is, if Kanye West gives people, and I'm over it. I'm finished with me. You only got to do a couple. Like it's over for me. Like I'm done. But if Kanye West has 6 months where he doesn't remind people of last fall, and he talks about some of the things that he's learned, he'll be back next year. Middle of next year, he'll be back. He already came out and gave the most interesting apology ever. I watched 21 Jump Street, and I realized not all Jewish people are bad. And so like, people are like, oh, okay, he apologized. And so I'm telling you right now, if there's an opportunity, if Kanye were to drop a song and it were to go to number one, or people act like they liked it, and Adidas feels like they can get $1 billion by working with him again, of course they do it.
From my point of view, when I look at this, of course, Adidas lost a lot of money. And of course they could reestablish the relationship. Only to have Kanye turn around and post a video playing porn to a bunch of the executives. Only for Kanye to cancel his world tour during a hissy fit on stage and really cancel his world tour.
Yeah.
Only to suddenly say that I love Hitler and Adidas can't do nothing about it. And embracing Nazis and saying, I feel the same way, not just about certain Jews, but about all the Jews.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you deal with someone, and at the end of the day, as much money as Kanye has brought to Adidas, it's still a blip in the overall billions of dollars that Adidas has done as a brand since before Kanye was even born, right?
Yeah.
Whoever the CEO is of these companies, like myself, who's a CEO of a company, looks at this and going, although the short-term money is very attractive, the long-term implications are not. And when you're dealing with someone who's clearly mentally unstable, unpredictable, you have no idea what's going to happen that day if he has his phone with him,
right?
That the potential losses in the future. I mean, imagine they take him back and they announce, yes, Yeezy season 10 is back, whatever else. And they say, hi, I got you. I love Hitler. Fuck y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fuck the Jews. Like, and that's the whole thing. So I think that Kanye going direct to consumer could go number one with an album. Kanye direct to consumer could have a best-selling sneaker and make millions, if not tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. But I think most corporations who have, because nobody owns these corporations. They're public companies that are run by shareholders.
Sure.
The CEO is just a CEO. Sure. He answers to the board of directors. The board of directors can kick him out.
Right.
Look what's happening with Bud Light right now.
Right.
Someone high up at Bud Light thought it was great to have a trans person do a social media campaign. Seems very innocent, right? Let's just embrace, how the world is moving.
Inclusion.
Only to have Bud Light and Budweiser fall from the number one spot in America's beer consumption.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I think that he could do well individually, direct to his fans, but I think most corporations say it's too much of a risk.
Okay.
It's too much of a risk.
Okay, so
that's my theory.
I feel you.
As a man, you have to you ultimately have to put your stick down and you have to abide by it.
Yeah. Pause.
throwing money in your face and everything else like that. Listen, Boosie feels a certain types of way about snitches, right? He wouldn't do a song with Gunna.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it was a $50 million check.
I would ask Boosie the next time he was up here if Gunna paid him $50 million if he'd do a song with him. But I don't know.
The answer would be no.
He probably would say no. Okay.
He threw away a multi-million-dollar deal with T.I. over the whole snitching allegation
and they also
thing,
got
right?
back cool again.
He got back cool after they had a conversation, and T.I. explained to him that he wasn't actually telling the truth.
Right.
He was just bringing up a what-if kind of situation. And that's why Boosie said, my bad, I apologize, whatever else. It wasn't because he said, okay, I accept the snitching and I need to make this money.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
Cool. I agree. This is what I'll say. Remember the way I put the Adidas thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Adidas, in my opinion, doesn't care about what Kanye West has said or done. Like, what Adidas cares about is the public uproar over it. Like, what I was trying to convince people of, academics even said that companies were making a moral judgment on DaBaby when DaBaby said what he said at Rolling Loud.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make any sense because DaBaby has rapped about killing black men and doing other stuff, and they didn't care about it then. It's actually not true. The companies don't care about what they care about. They care about what you care about. And what that means is that if DaBaby is talking about, or any artist, not to single out DaBaby, but if any artist is talking about killing black people or killing black men or spinning the ops or I'm a smack a bitch or whatever, and we don't care and we buy the music and we show up, they're not going to care. They're not going to moralize over what they think is right in the artist's lyrics. But the moment that somebody does care, they're going to care.
Mm-hmm.
So the gay and lesbian community went, we don't like that. So we don't like that guy. So we're not going to support that. And anybody that supports that, we're going to make you out to be a homophobe. So the companies went, oh, wait a minute. The audience, a significant part of the audience, 10% of the population, they care. So because they care, we got to act like we care. What I'm saying about Kanye West is we have a problem caring about the bad things that he does. We have a problem over a long period of time maintaining any energy to remember the last time Kanye did something objectionable. And if that continues, and if we're not caring for free, Adidas certainly isn't going to pay $1 billion to care. What's going to have to happen over a long period of time is people are going to have to maintain the opinion of Kanye that they have. And I just don't have any faith that they can do it. I see people talking about him and talking about stuff with him, and they never bring that shit up. Now, it's fairly recent, so we'll have to see. And we don't know when the shoe's going to fall again. But see if they think that it's over, if they think that Kanye's received help or he's talked about it or he does a run talking about how bad he is, they're definitely going to go back. And to me, the only thing that would stop them, you are the owner of this company and you are making a ethical and moral decision not to interview somebody, right? Mm-hmm. No matter how much money it will bring you.
Right.
What you said about the corporation is true. Right now, Adidas, their shareholders are suing Adidas because they have a fiduciary, they feel like Adidas shirked their fiduciary duty in monitoring Kanye and how he was being and telling everybody about it.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, if it lasts and Kanye normalizes again and he comes out with hotter shit and Adidas thinks that they can get back $500 million worth of operating profit a year, $1 billion worth of market cap, like all of that stuff, and they come up with some system of fail-safes for him, they'll jump back in bed.
Fail safes for Kanye.
There's no way you could do it.
No such thing. No such thing.
Hollywood.
This is fairy tale.
So everything that happened with Mel Gibson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happened with Mel Gibson, you would think the one town where you can't do what he did is this town. They nominated for an Academy Award, Hacksaw Ridge. He got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director, Hacksaw Ridge, 10 years after that happened. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, like I get it, understand. We talk about outrage and people have so much outrage, but what they don't have is any consistency. They almost always lose it.